protests continue on college campuses, it continues to spiral out of control.
Begin, though, with the tensions across this country over Israel's war in Gaza that stemmed from that October 7th Hamas attack. We continue to see the demonstrations in multiple cities now, including here at Columbia University in New York City, where the school says students have 48 hours to remove an encampment. In Brooklyn, hundreds of Jewish people were arrested near the home of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer after holding a Passover Seder, which doubled as a call for a ceasefire. Nancy Chen is at Columbia for us this morning to bring us the latest. Nancy, good morning to you.
Gail, good morning to you. There are protests overnight here on campus, but it is overall calm right now as conversations with students continue. A representative from Columbia University tells CBS News there has been some progress made with pro-Palestinian demonstrators, but tensions remain high.
Outside of Columbia University's campus, demonstrators continue to rally. After the school's administration warned students on campus to dismantle their camps or face consequences, some are seen breaking them down, while others remain defiant. From coast to coast, California to Massachusetts, demonstrations expressing anger over Israel's bombardment of Gaza. At NYU, plywood barricades were erected yesterday around a campus plaza. After unruly demonstrations Monday night, 120 people were arrested. New York City Mayor Eric Adams blamed the unrest on outside agitators.
People who peacefully protest for an issue, they're not throwing bottles and chairs.
Earlier in the day at Columbia, protesters reiterated their demands, including an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And one of the most crucial components, cutting off any financial interests connected to Israel.
Our first demand is complete divestment from anything related to Israeli settler colonialism, apartheid, and genocide.
The words apartheid and genocide are loaded, but the idea of divestment is a refrain echoed over and over by protesters we spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment, financial transparency.
Is financial divestment.
Hold on, sir. What you doing out there?
We spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment.
This what y'all doing out here in these streets? Let's continue.
Financial transparency.
Is financial divestment from any companies that
Have y'all realized that they all saying the same thing? Listen, watch this.
Financial transparency.
Over by protesters we spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment, financial transparency.
Is financial divestment.
This is nothing but the Matrix, y'all. This is the Matrix. These are people that are influenced by other people that want to belong to a group. And so what they do is they start to join in, and then they feel empowered by being around other people that validate their existence in that particular movement. That's why you see them all talking the same way. They all say the same thing, financial divestment. Then the next person, financial divestment. It's the same thing that happens in a community. When I go on social media and I scroll up and I see some blackity black, or I see people talking about money, or I see black people in particular talking about money, they usually say generational wealth, the wealth gap. It's the system, systematic oppression. And then they all are influenced by each other because none of them actually know what to say. They're being fed this propaganda that ultimately leads to an overwhelming amount of people that's protesting. And I don't even think the majority of these people go to the school. Eric Adams got it right this time. He said, listen, people that are peacefully protesting, that's actually a part of these organizations, that's a part of the actual school, that's a part of Columbia, they're not throwing chairs and bottles. They're not throwing chairs and bottles. I personally believe that these are people that are paid, and these are plants that go in, stir it up, and this is why y'all have to be careful about who you're interested in, who you're following, and what you continue to spew out of your mouth. Life and death is in the tongue.
From any companies that profit off of Israeli apartheid.
According to Kenneth Stern, who has studied pro-Palestinian campus protests for decades, calls for divestment in Israel have gone nowhere on campuses for more than 20 years because the issues in Israel are not politically simple.
No campus has decided to divest from investments in Israel or companies that do business with Israel. And part of the reason is that unlike some things that have gotten them to divest, whether it's tobacco stocks or things related to climate, this is a political debate where people have strongly divergent views.
And on top of that, divestment isn't practical.
It would be very difficult because there's so many companies that deal with Israel. There's so many mutual funds and other things. It would be very difficult to segregate them.
But the practicality may not be the point. The point may just be the protest.
And Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is expected to visit Columbia's campus later today to meet with Jewish students as we now enter day 8 of protests here. Gail.
So, again, be careful what you follow. I don't believe that the majority of the people that's at these protests, that's starting to spread all across the United States of America at these major universities, I don't believe that this is just an issue that's singularly affecting what's happening on campus. I think that these places are being targeted. That's my own personal opinion. More importantly, I also believe that this is a huge distraction from the upcoming election because it happens every 4 years. Somehow, some way, we only get major protests at this level during election years in 2024. So just be careful. Be aware of what it is that you're taking in every single day. Also, on top of that, Governor Kathy Hochul, who I think is actually the person that should be held accountable even more than Eric Adams, is signing into law new anti-squatter laws in New York. Check it out.
The governor of New York speaking out just a few minutes ago about the new anti-squatter law that she signed into effect. The push for change came after a series of 7 on your side investigations into the problem. Investigative reporter Dan Kraut was there, joins us in the newsroom with more. Dan?
Sandra, the governor signed off on the squatter law as part of the state's new budget package. I just got done speaking with her about it and how it became a reality. What are your reactions to the changes made in state law, and how do you think they will impact New Yorkers moving forward?
Well, we put them into state law because it makes sense, and I thank you for your reporting that put a spotlight on the...
Let me also say that this is the woman that helped craft and put into place the Survivors Act over in New York that ultimately led to a bunch of women that filed a lot of lawsuits and even, in a larger sense, helped take down Diddy when it came to Cassie filing her lawsuit in order to get however much money that she got from that whole settlement. So Kathy Hochul is not a good person, in my opinion. Kathy Hochul is absolutely, positively, there needs to be a spotlight shined on her actions, but that's for another day. We gonna get there, I promise you.
The fact that there are people illegally in other people's homes and creating havoc. And so we needed to make sure that our budget, the laws that we introduced just last week, would address this crisis.
After a series of 7-on-your-side investigations, a handful of lawmakers pushed for changes to state law, and the governor signed off on those changes this week. They voted to revise the way tenants are defined in the law to exclude people who don't have a homeowner's permission or legal right to be inside a property. They say it will make it easier for police to remove squatters instead of having to take them to housing court.
So squatters do not have the rights as tenants. That is firm. They can be prosecuted, and there'll be consequences to them. So that is the message that should go out there. You are not living in those houses legally. And again, I thank you for your coverage of this.
This new law goes into effect immediately, which means when police show up moving forward, someone has to show real proof they're not a squatter. Food receipts and word of mouth won't do.
So that's what's happened over in New York as far as Governor Hochul, who I think is absolutely a horrible governor in my personal opinion. And then last but not least, another lawsuit is contributing to the bankruptcy of Dalton, and that Tiffany Henyard is now being sued again by another person. Check it out.
After presiding over the brief 15-minute meeting, Tiffany Henyard quickly left, ignoring our questions on the way out.
At the Thornton Township Board of Trustees meeting, some came to the defense of the embattled village leader.
The type of attack that we're seeing strictly off of allegations is unheard of.
This was Henyard's first public meeting after sources say the FBI on Friday served subpoenas at Dalton Village Hall for personnel and business records. And after Dalton Village Administrator Keith Freeman was indicted last week on a federal bankruptcy fraud charge.
Stop having one-sided narrative because it is not the truth. It's only one-sided.
So here's my question. If it's a one-sided narrative, then what is the truth? She keeps talking about she gonna drop the receipts, she gonna drop a new podcast, she gonna tell you what the truth is, but she ain't handing over the documents, she ain't handing over the finances, she not actually showing a receipt, she not doing anything. And so all she keep telling us is to not believe what she see from people, and it's only one-sided. But the reality is, she not showing anything at all.
It's a shame that the media comes out and they only show negative things.
Seconds after adjourning the meeting, Henyard was gone.
Mayor Henyard, you have a minute to talk to ABC 7 about the FBI investigation. Mayor?
Henyard is named alongside Dalton Village trustee Andrew Holmes in a sexual assault lawsuit filed by a Dalton police officer who was a member of Henyard's security detail, as well as a woman who used to work for the mayor. And now a new lawsuit alleges Dalton officials gave a barbershop owner the runaround in improperly denying a business license.
I was just chasing my tail. And as I'm chasing my tail, my finances were wearing thin.
Tyrone Isom Jr. says he worked with the village to purchase and renovate this building, only to be told his license was denied by Mayor Henyard. The complaint alleging a policy of choosing and denying applicants for financial and political reasons.
Everything Mr. Isom was doing was within the parameters of the law. And for whatever reason, which we'll ultimately find out, Mayor Henyard said, nope.
This evening, a representative for the village of Dalton declined to comment on that lawsuit.
So, yeah, that's what's happening with Tiffany Henyard over there in Dalton. I can't really say that I feel bad for the people, though. Thank y'all. I caught it. I can't really say that I feel bad for the people, though, because y'all voted for her. So on one hand, I could say, well, Tiffany Henyard, she absolutely is doing the wrong thing and she not on top of things or whatever like that. But on the other hand, I can also say that y'all voted for. And that's one thing that we got to have a conversation about. Y'all keep saying that y'all vote don't matter. You keep saying that your vote don't matter. But at the same time, now you got a mayor that's controlling and ruining and running your town into the ground. And I even tell y'all that participating on a local level is much more impactful than participating in the national election. But you guys decided that you didn't want to vote. Y'all had a low voter turnout rate. The people that did vote, y'all voted her in there. And now you have to deal with all of the stuff that comes along with it. So why you going to sit there and complain about it? No. Keep telling me. Keep telling me about how it don't matter about whether or not you vote or not, or why you shouldn't participate in the process because it's already rigged. Was it rigged in Dalton? Was it rigged in Dalton? Because she said she got like 83% of the vote. Is it rigged already? Or do you get to determine who the person is that's spending your resources and controlling your elections? I'm just curious. How don't it matter? Listen, for everybody that ever wanted to come up with that stupid debate and that stupid argument saying that their vote doesn't matter, so why vote anyway? Cool. Then why y'all sitting here protesting against Tiffany Henyard? Absolutely, Azriel. Keep that same energy 100% of the time. If you don't participate in the process, you don't get to complain about the results. Sure.